Earlier this week, Sony just unveiled their State of Play, showcasing games coming to PlayStation 5. Now, I'm not a PlayStation-centric person, nor is this a PlayStation-centric channel. But we are going to talk about these because, well, as you may have guessed, some of these will be coming to PC and therefore the Steam Deck as well. But if you like this video or any other video I've made, please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And in the meantime, why don't you check out Off the Console? It's a brand new podcast created by me, Gardner Bryant, and Games Revealed, with guest stars occasionally. And while yes, it's on YouTube, it's also available wherever podcasts can be found, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Check it out. The first game that was showcased was Monster Hunter Wilds, and yes, we already know this is coming to PC, and if the open beta and benchmarks are any indication, this game will not run well on Steam Deck when it releases. My fellow Steam Deck users, this is an unfortunate reality. AAA games these days are kind of out of reach for the Steam Deck nowadays. Maybe things will be a little different when the game fully releases, but at this point, you're better off just waiting until the Steam Deck 2 comes out to play this. Or I don't know, if you have an Ally X, then probably try it there too. Next up is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. My god. It's a great year to be a ninja fan. Between Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, Ninja Gaiden 4, and a new side-scrolling Shinobi game, man, this is going to be awesome. It's being developed by the same team that made Streets of Rage 4, and that was a quality game. And I will say, yes, Shinobi 3 is the best Sega Genesis game. Yes, better than Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And come on, man, this game is sure to run well on Steam Deck. I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't. And it comes out this year as well. Amazing. Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Mario Kart style games are so much fun, and I think the Sonic games were pretty fun too, but it's been like over a decade since I last played one. So while this trailer featured exclusively Sonic characters, the official PlayStation blog post mentions other Sega universes. What could this be? Well, it could be anything. The last outing that released in 2019 only had Sonic characters, but with the return of guest characters from other Sega universes, who could show up? Since the last time Sonic Racing had guest characters, which was like 10 years ago, a lot of things have changed. The Like a Dragon games have exploded in popularity, and Sega bought Atlas. So now we have Persona and Like a Dragon characters. Could they be joining the game too? That would be kind of crazy if they did. But you could also have classic characters like the guy from Altered Beast or Joe Musashi from Shinobi. I'm definitely willing to give one of these Sonic Racing games a shot. It's been a while. I'm sure this game will run pretty well on Steam Deck, all things considered. I think the last Digimon-related anything I've seen was Digimon Tamers. And I'm gonna level with you, I don't know that much about any of the new slick Digimon RPGs that have come out as of recent. But Digimon has some serious competition now in the form of Palworld. All jokes aside though, this game does look pretty fun, and I'm inclined to believe this game will run pretty well on Steam Deck. The real question now is, when is Palworld gonna get Digimon-inspired pals? I would kill for a pal that's kind of like Omnimon. Lost Soul aside is a confusing one. It's a game whose combat looks stylish and you can even do combos in the air, but I don't see any enemies that you can actually combo. A lot of big, unflinching bad guys that you can slash up, but I want to see some more in-depth combat. How deep does the combat system go? Because it seems like a pretty linear game, all things considered, not an open world RPG or anything like that. And on that note, yes, this game probably won't run well on Steam Deck. I mean, I could be surprised though, it's not like an open world title or anything like that. And while yes, this is a PlayStation published game, this is coming to PC on day one. It might be due to the fact that it's part of the China Hero project that Sony has been running. The main protagonist definitely looks like he came out of Final Fantasy though. And yes, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is getting a demo. And it's not just on PlayStation, it's also on PC and Xbox as well. The game looks like it'll probably run well on Steam Deck. And yes, it's coming out this month. And on the topic of Yakuza games, it looks like Dave the Diver is getting a Yakuza-themed DLC. It's kind of crazy how much this game blew up. It got a Godzilla crossover, a Balatro crossover, a Dredge crossover, and now a Yakuza crossover? I mean, a Like a Dragon crossover? That's pretty crazy. Splitgate's an interesting one. It started out as a franchise bringing what is essentially Halo-like gameplay to PC, with portals, but then Halo kind of came to PC for real, and then this game sort of just died. But hey, new Splitgate. I will say though, I think the addition of classes is going to be a little polarizing. Now, I'm not saying no one likes the WWE games, I'm just saying I don't really like them. I think they peaked with the GameCube games. From what I understand, the last game ran at 60 FPS on the Steam Deck with certain settings. So there's a chance that maybe this game will also run on Steam Deck at 60 FPS with certain settings. Borderlands 4 was announced a while ago, and we got some gameplay pretty recently, but now we have even more gameplay. Now, to be honest, I'm gonna level with you, the writing in these games were never any good. Let's be frank, you only really liked Handsome Jack in Borderlands 2, and maybe some of the player characters in Borderlands 2, but I can tell you right now, I hated Borderlands 3's writing. It was awful. You ever see this 4chan green text of someone describing Gearbox's writing style? It is so on point and so accurate that, man, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Now, supposedly, one of the head writers for Borderlands 4 claims that there will be no Hawk Tuah or Skibbity Toilet jokes, but that remains to be seen. These games do tend to have multiple writers after all, and I will say, I'm not entirely sure this game will run well on Steam Deck, but that's just me. Now, this is that one game from that one developer that only makes co-op games. I think his name was Joseph Fares, right? I don't know, whatever, man. Anyways, it's a co-op game. These games tend to come with a feature where you only have to buy one copy and you can loan your second copy to a second person that wants to play with you. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is a great feature. I think more games with mandatory co-op should do this. And yes, it's coming out on Steam, and I'm sure this game will run pretty well on Steam Deck, all things considered. Now, this game is sure to be interesting. Directive 8020. It's said to be a survival horror game. Supermassive games are generally known for their more cinematic games. Games like Until Dawn, which is essentially an interactive movie. Now, for a survival horror game like this, where you have some sort of alien threat that can mimic humans, I think a game like this deserves more demanding gameplay, alongside choices too. And believe it or not, this game is also coming to PC day one as well. But to be fair, it's not published by Sony, despite the fact that, well, Sony published their earlier games too. Now, I'm just gonna level with you. I'm not sure this game will run well on Steam Deck. I've never really been one for the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I know they're super popular and people love them, but nor can I really comment on how well this game will run on Steam Deck. But given it's more of a minimalistic horror game, there's a good chance that this game will run pretty well on Steam Deck, all things considered. It's just not my cup of tea. I do kind of vibe with the grim dark stop motion animation that this game's going for, the Midnight Walk. It kind of seems like a sort of grim dark stop motion sort of FPS, and I kind of vibe with that, but that really depends on how intense the FPS mechanics are, because it doesn't really look like there's much here. Not right now, at least, but who knows? Maybe they'll reveal more in the future. Darwin's Paradox is a game I didn't really expect to see out of Konami. And to be honest, it's hard to know what sort of game this is. Is it a platformer? Is it an adventure game? What is it really? And honestly, with the visuals, I think this game is bordering on maybe it can't run on Steam Deck, but I'm not sure. Warriors Abyss is essentially a roguelike mixed with Dynasty Warriors. Or I guess in this case, it could be like Vampire Survivors mixed with Dynasty Warriors. And if you really think about it, it's a perfect combination almost. With the sheer volume of enemies on the screen, I'm not sure the Steam Deck can handle it, at least towards the end game. I'm sure towards the beginning, the game will run fine, but then towards the end of a run, when there's literally thousands of enemies on the screen, well, let's just say that's when things will really go down south in terms of performance. And as you can see here, Capcom is remastering the Onimusha games. This right here being a remaster of Onimusha 2. If I had to describe the original game, I would think of it as like a hack and slash mixed with, well, tank controls, because that's kind of what it was. I mean, the game has fixed camera angles everywhere. I mean, that's sort of the way the game was. And this game definitely looks like it'll run on Steam Deck. And speaking of Onimusha, they're making a brand new one. I think the last new Onimusha game they made was like 20 years ago. If you asked me about 2 years ago if this game would run well on Steam Deck, I would have said yes. But in this case, I'm not entirely sure. But it is a much smaller scale game compared to something like Dragon's Dogma 2 or Monster Hunter Wilds. But these days with AAA games, you never know. But still, a new Onimusha is pretty sick, and it's also pretty sick how Capcom's thinking about bringing back their older franchises. Now, imagine if Capcom made a Darkstalkers 4. That'd be kind of sick. Metal Gear Solid Delta. I'm not sure if this game will run well on Steam Deck. I mean, let's be honest. It looks graphically demanding. But let's be honest, it does look pretty cool. But the big question now is, will we get Metal Gear Solid 4 on PC? That's what I want to know. Hell Is Us kind of looks like a Souls-like, and I have no idea what's going on here. What I do know is that this game probably won't run well on Steam Deck. I mean, look at it. It looks graphically demanding. Lies of P is getting a DLC, and Lies of P is Steam Deck verified and runs quite well on Steam Deck. I don't think this DLC is going to run any worse than the actual game, is it? I don't usually like Souls-like games that aren't from Software, but I've heard Lies of P is nearly as good as From Software's outing, so I really need to give it a shot. Dreams of Another is one of the few games that's actually PS5 exclusive so far. And it definitely looks super unique. It kind of looks like a voxel game, but like much more high fidelity. Now, voxel tech is super cool for video game destruction, and I hope the destruction in this game is pretty cool. And I hope this does come to PC eventually. I know a lot of the pixel jump games have come to PC eventually. I don't typically agree with the internet, but I will agree with the internet with them wondering if this game really needed a remaster. I mean, seriously, did it? Now, don't get me wrong, I think new features are pretty cool, but I feel like they could have been DLC instead of a whole remaster. At least on PC though, they're not selling you the remaster, they're just selling you the extra features as a $10 DLC, which I think is good. It's mostly a remaster for those playing on PlayStation 5, and I think that's okay, I guess. And as a $10 upgrade for PlayStation users, I don't see it as a bad thing. The PC version already runs pretty okay on Steam Deck, so there shouldn't be a graphical change there. They're just making the PS5 version look more like the PC version. And Stellar Blade is getting a double whammy announcement. First and foremost, of course, is the Goddess of Victory Nikkei DLC. That's not going to come until a lot later, to be honest. But the bigger announcement is that the game is coming to PC. Supposedly the developers are optimizing for Steam Deck, which sounds great. And I'm just going to gloss over this entire section. This is the PlayStation Plus games catalog, and quite frankly, these are all games that you can already buy, or I guess can't buy on PC. I don't really know. I'm going to skip over this entire section. Don't worry about it. Now, this game looks pretty cool. It kind of gives off a God of War vibe, and I don't mean the new God of War. I mean like the old ones based in Greek mythology. The ones that were more akin to like Devil May Cry. And trust me when I say, yes, I think that was the vibe they were going for. I've heard some people say Heavenly Sword, but I haven't played Heavenly Sword, so I wouldn't know. And yes, this game is coming to PC, but honestly, it does look a little graphically intense. I'm not sure if this game will run well on Steam Deck. But hey, there's always Steam Deck 2, or hey, if you're super impatient, you can just stream it from your own computer. But for a fast-paced game like this, that might not be the best idea. Oh well, I'll just play this on my computer. This is one of the cooler announcements, to be honest. And honestly, I've been burned out on so many mediocre Souls-likes, and this not being a Souls-like, awesome. Metal Eden looks pretty cool. It looks like it's a boomer shooter almost, but without some more, like, definitive gameplay footage, it's hard to know for certain. But whatever the case is, this game looks like it's totally up my alley. Now, will this game run on Steam Deck? I don't know, maybe. But if it runs at anything less than 60 FPS, then I would say just play it on your computer instead. It's made by the same guys that made Ruiner, and Ruiner was pretty fun. Now, this game right here, Mind's Eye, has no real release date. Not yet, at least. That said, it looks like a pretty decent game, but the big question is, does this game have the sauce? I mean, it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but games need to look more than cool. It needs to be fun to play, and it kind of looks like a regular third-person shooter. Is there anything that makes this game stand out? Anything besides, oh, the game is cinematic? Because there's lots of games that present themselves as cinematic, let's be honest. This game doesn't look like it'll run well on Steam Deck, but without a release date, we don't even know if that question is relevant. Who knows, maybe by the time this game comes out on PC, there will be a Steam Deck 2, but no one knows for certain, to be honest. Saros is House Marquee's next game. Now, if you don't know who they are, they made Returnal, which is like a third-person shooter bullet hell roguelike. And you could tell this was like a Returnal sequel when you saw the bullet hell reflected in the guy's eyes in the CG cutscene. So it'll probably play like that. Let's be honest, Returnal did not run well on Steam Deck and was one of the first major releases on PC that didn't really run well on Steam Deck. And to this day, I'm pretty sure Returnal still doesn't run well on Steam Deck, so I'm gonna say no, Saros is not gonna run well on Steam Deck. People were super upset with this because there was no Bloodborne. There was no Bloodborne, no Kingdom Hearts 4, no Half-Life 3, no Silksong, no Grand Theft Auto 6. Let's be honest, you guys kind of did this to yourself because no one was telling you that any of those were going to be there. But I can also see how disappointed some PlayStation fans are, how disgusted they are looking at their PlayStation 5s and being like, only 2 PlayStation 5 exclusives. And the worst part is those games will probably come to PC eventually anyways, but hey, whatever, I guess. But hey, there were some interesting highlights, especially for people that like action games, like the new Shinobi. That's pretty cool. And all of those new hack and slash games. Yeah, I'm down. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos. And if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.